How's it going, everyone? Thank you guys for tuning in to another video. We apologize that we didn't get anything up.
You apologize.
Yes, it was my fault. Sorry. We had a lot of stuff going on the past week or two, and yeah, I wasn't.
We thought we had pre-recorded one for Friday, and I swore up and down we did. And I remember planning ahead, and Brian's like, I don't see anything. So that settles that, and long weekend. So anyway, I'm sure nobody missed us. So
only the people who wanted to comment on the I'm just kidding. No, we appreciate you guys commenting your opinions on the last video that we did about the
UK. Yeah, sometimes some of you are just wrong.
No, okay. Stop. I don't think anyone is technically wrong. Everyone has their opinions. The only people that I think are wrong are people that are like hating on races or ethnicities. That's right. I don't think that's right.
I feel like if you use us as any form of
like educational or news.
Not just education, but like if you come to us to report something, you're in the wrong place. We are reacting to a video of something that
we don't really know
curated for
a
us
lot
to
about.
watch.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. I feel like some people that were commenting, they were like, you need to do this. You need to do more. First off, I'm not here reporting it. I'm not saying come to me and learn something about this. I'm responding to a video that I'm seeing about it. And I also feel like some people are letting their own personal things show. And they don't realize that it's showing. And I'll just leave it at that. You can read between the lines.
Yeah. All right. So the title. This is episode 221, by the way. All right. So the title for today's video is "Do Trump and Musk Have a Point?"
A point in what?
But it's about EU's freedom of speech and if there is a lack of freedom of speech in the EU. Because I do notice on podcasts like Joe Rogan and some other ones that are American based, they tend to say that Europe has like no freedom of speech and it's much better in the US in terms of like freedom.
Isn't that why Elon bought Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called?
So it could become that thing turned into a thing of like racists. Like racists just felt like they were so free there.
Oh, yeah. It was like the Wild West.
It's insane. Some of the comments I see, they're like straight like, we need to get rid of these people. Like, we need to exterminate these people and shit like that. I'm like, God damn.
I'm not defending him because I do not like him as a person. I think he's so out of touch with a lot of things. But I feel like he thinks he's some freedom fighter and like...
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, you can say whatever you want. I don't think he supports everything people say on there, but I think he just thinks that you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want. And to a degree, it is up to the consumer to distinguish if this is appropriate, the stuff you're reading and seeing. But it sucks because kids can see that stuff. And I remember being so easily influenced as a kid.
Yeah, and also just wanted to touch on, too.
And their parents are probably not monitoring shit. Sorry, excuse me. I cut you off.
It's okay. There were some comments on the other video, too, why we turned off comments for our vlog channel with our niece. Oh, yeah. It's just because, people can be weird, and there are weird people out there, and we don't want her niece to, like, see anything. And
I think that's a pretty small... Like, that to me, that's common sense.
I would
if there's a kid in a video, don't even entertain comments. Don't even have them on.
Yeah, I would obviously love to hear the nice people who are probably like, oh, it's so, cool or nice or cute, whatever.
Just like it. Just put a thumbs up.
And subscribe. Subscribe to it. That'll
our other
help.
Channel, if you don't know what we're talking about, Brian will link it in the description of this video.
All right. I feel like we've been...
There's our 20-minute tangent in every video that we do that somebody always complains about.
It's okay. Can't please everyone. All right. So this channel is called EU Made Simple. I'll put the original in the description. Now, let's see if Trump and Musk have a point about EU's freedom of speech.
Sorry, you turn it up.
I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries,
This was Elon Musk during a live chat with the former president, Donald Trump, last week on X, referring to a letter he received just before the interview from the EU's Commissioner for Internal Markets, Thierry Breton. Breton was particularly concerned about disinformation after seeing how misinformation on X had contributed to last week's UK riots. He warned that their conversation might run afoul of the EU's Digital Services Act
Oh
if
yeah,
it
didn't
wasn't
he say
properly
something about like, oh, civil war is inevitable or some shit like that?
Yeah, Elon did.
Just shut up. Just shut the fuck up.
moderated. But Musk, never one to shy away from a fight, fired back with a Tropic Thunder meme that basically told the EU to mind its own business, albeit in stronger language. Not to be outdone, the CEO of X also jumped into the fray, accusing the EU of trying to meddle in American affairs and patronizing Europeans by stifling free speech. And of course, Trump's campaign wasn't going to miss out on all the action either, declaring that the EU should stay in its lane and calling it an enemy of free speech. Is this true though? Do Europeans not have the same freedoms as Americans? And just how different are our free speech rules on this side of the pond compared to the US? We'll dive into all of that in this video. To get to the bottom of the differences in free speech between the US and Europe, we need to do a little comparison of the key legal texts, the First Amendment of the US Constitution and Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights. But don't worry, we'll try to keep it light. First, the US approach. The First Amendment is the gold standard of free speech protection and is as straightforward as it gets. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. In plain English, the US government is hands off when it comes to what you say.
Well, okay. There's an issue with this too, because there are some people who have been, say, like they gain a lot of how do I say it? Like they gain a lot of followers and they're huge, right? Say they're huge.
Andrew Tate.
And if they, well, no, that's not what I meant. I was going to say that there's people speaking up against our government.
Got it. I thought you meant like rage baiters.
They will take measures to silence that person in ways that aren't so in everyone's face, but they do.
Yeah, they suppress a lot of
Yeah,
people.
exactly. So to that, when I've seen that, it just seems like they have other ways of going about it to...
Yeah, like you're allowed to say what the fuck you want, but it doesn't mean everyone's going to see it just because...
Yeah, and there's even conspiracies as to the government will kill people who say things that kind of unveil the
like
the truth.
Whistleblowers?
Yeah, type thing. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like you can say it, but like then you have to think about consequences.
I mean, look at Snowden. Snowden, in my eyes, Snowden was doing something that was really for the people. He was trying to say, like, our government is surveilling all of you without you knowing.
Yeah.
And they're breaking their own laws.
Yeah.
But then he obviously had to fucking run to another country.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Russia,
know.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's free speech unless you sign an NDA.
Yeah.
This is the no strings attached version of free speech. Now the European take, where we have Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which reads, everyone has the right to freedom of expression, but this can be limited to protect national security, public safety, health, morals, and a whole list of other things. So Europe's approach to free speech is more like, you've got free speech, but let's not go too crazy with it. The idea here is that your right to express yourself is important, but it might need to be balanced against other rights and societal interests, such as privacy, dignity, and non-discrimination. You might have already noticed the clear differences in the use of language here, but let's start by focusing on what the US and Europe have in common. In both the US and Europe, political speech is protected as a vital part of democratic participation. Both regions also have strong judicial oversight. In the US, the Supreme Court plays a key role in interpreting these rights, while in Europe, the European Court of Human Rights serves a similar function. After the European courts, national courts in each EU country also play a crucial role in applying and enforcing these principles. Freedom of the press is another area where both the US and Europe align, ensuring that independent journalism can hold power accountable. And finally, both recognize that free speech isn't absolute. There are accepted limits on things like obscenity, direct threats, incitement to violence, or incitement to panic. For example, neither the US or Europe would tolerate someone shouting, "There's a bomb on this plane," as part of a joke. So while both countries recognize that there's some limit to free speech, the EU typically extends these restrictions further than the US. Also, the European Court of Human Rights provides considerable flexibility to national courts, meaning that the exact limits on freedom of speech can vary significantly from one European country to another.
Yeah.
So what are these limits? Today we will cover 3, starting with the big one, hate speech. In the US, hate speech is generally protected unless it directly incites violence or illegal actions. In Europe, it's a different story. There's more of a balancing act, where certain forms of hate speech are simply not tolerated. But enough of the theory.
I hate to sound like... I don't know how to say it. In other words, like, I hate to sound like a sissy, but I just don't... I don't see the point of allowing... What benefits people from allowing to call someone a racial slur or something like that. Like, I don't see the benefit from that being in a society.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I don't get it. Like, that, to me, that doesn't add any benefit to a society,
Especially
being
when
allowed
you-
to do that.
Especially when you like weaponize the First Amendment and say like, well, this is not a free country because I can't call them the N-word.
Yeah, I don't...
Like,
It's just my opinion. I know not everyone has to agree, but yeah.
Yeah, but some people just have no fucking self-control, and this is where I feel like, it. This is where I feel like people have to just have some form of discernment and be like, okay, that guy's clearly a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but then they also
it's easier
then
said
people,
than done.
Yeah, and then people will be like, well, that's where it starts, and then they're gonna start controlling everything. Yeah, it's like,
Everything's 10 steps later.
yeah, exactly.
Let's look at some real-world examples. In Austria and Germany, Nazi symbols, gestures, and acts that glorify or endorse the Nazi regime are strictly prohibited.
I mean,
For
that makes
instance,
sense.
earlier this year, 4 Germans were arrested in Austria after placing white roses at Adolf Hitler's birthplace, with one of
Bro,
them
what?
giving a Nazi salute. Similarly, a legislator from the far-right Alternative for Germany was arrested for using the Nazi Sieg Heil salute. Holocaust denial is another form of hate speech that's illegal in many European countries. For example, earlier this year in France, authorities arrested a known Holocaust denier, emphasizing that Holocaust denial is a gross insult to the Jewish community and others who perished in
what's that
places
one
like
dude?
Auschwitz.
What's that one dude out here who like denied the Sandy
I know.
Hook?
I'm trying to think of it.
Alex
Alex
Jones.
Jones. Yeah. Doesn't he deny the Holocaust and shit too, right?
Yeah, and he got sued for like
$1
almost
billion.
$1 billion
yeah.
bucks. Yeah. Over a decade ago now, right?
It's been that long?
I think it's been about a decade, 10, 12 years. There was a school shot up called Sandy Hook Elementary School. It was fucking horrible. I think it was like 2012 maybe.
Yep.
And there's this conspiracy theorist, hardcore. And I get it. If you want to be like conspiracy theorists for fun, I get that. I have my moments too. But to deny that a bunch of children were murdered is fucked up.
The parents
So
were suing,
the
right?
families sued, and they settled, and
It's so stupid.
settled,
But it's mainly because Alex Jones got such a huge following.
yeah, and with those followings, you need to be fucking careful, dude. Like, these are people's lives you're ruining by
yeah.
saying
Yeah.
certain things.
I do agree that if you get into certain power, not even power, but like fame or whatever, you
Platform.
should have kind of like rules that you need to live by because you
Just
control a lot of people.
morals.
Yeah, because you can say to go do some hate
Trump.
thing and people, thousands of not millions of people will go follow you to do it.
Trump sending his flock of...
There, you know what? I was watching a video in the UK too. There's a lot of Trump lovers in the UK.
You're weird.
A lot. They're like we know he's gonna save the West and he's gonna make everything how it
save you
should
from
be.
what?
I don't know, man.
Brown people? Like, relax.
I don't know.
Trump, keep in mind, guys,
It is.
Trump
I think it
is
does have
puppet.
a lot of it has to do with immigration.
Trump is a puppet. He knows what he's doing. Like, he's very calculated.
Yeah. Honestly, with all politics, we're kind of all fucked. Sorry, but yeah, it's the reality of it.
I don't know about, well...
Yes, some more than others, but in general, because none of them fucking do anything they say.
You just choose how fucked you are.
Yeah, none of them do anything they say they're gonna do. All right.
Well, they do, but on a smaller scale.
I guess.
And...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Not everything.
in the US, while such actions are heavily frowned upon and can carry serious social consequences, it's not illegal to deny the Holocaust or make a Nazi salute. The next limit is defamation. In the US, defamation laws are more lenient, especially for public figures who have to prove actual malice, meaning the person knew that the statement was false or didn't care if it was. A recent example is Sarah Palin's case against the
Oh,
New
shit,
York
forgot about
Times in 2022. She sued over an editorial linking her to a mass shooting, but the court dismissed the case because Palin couldn't prove the newspaper acted with actual malice. This shows how the US prioritizes free speech, even if it means some statements can harm reputations. In contrast, the EU has stricter defamation laws.
I didn't know that. I thought if you sued for defamation, the end goal is to find out if it's true or not that if they had malice behind it. I didn't know that.
But I guess that pretty much means that they couldn't actually find facts of what she was saying it to be like that hurtful or to her career.
Whether it's
or
true or
whatever.
not, yeah.
With a lower burden of proof and more focus on protecting personal reputation. Take Marine Le Pen's case in France in 2017. She sued a TV host who showed a satirical image of her face on a feces-covered animal, and the court ruled in her favor, emphasizing the importance of protecting personal dignity, something that's given more weight
Well,
in the EU.
okay, I get that too, because then you turn into a reality show of our politics, like here. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a reality show. We're living in an SNL skit
Yeah, it's
in
like
this country.
Yeah, like if you saw the debate with Trump and Biden, that it's like, oh my God. I'm sorry. I know I've talked about that before, but it's just like that's
Those
what
are-
it turns into if you don't protect dignity and personal reputation.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are the moments I have out-of-body experiences, and I'm like, okay, this is a simulation.
Yeah.
EU than in the US. However, it is a bit subjective, as Johnny Depp, for example, won his defamation case just a couple of years ago against Amber Heard. And then the third limit is privacy. In the US, privacy protections are weaker, especially for public figures, because free speech is often prioritized, even if it invades someone's privacy. The EU, however, has strong privacy rules, including the right to be forgotten. For example, a Spanish
What does
lawyer
that mean?
successfully requested that Google remove links to an old newspaper article about his past financial issues. The European Court of Justice ruled in his
Yeah.
favor, requiring Google to delete the links, illustrating the EU's strong emphasis on privacy and the protection of personal reputation, even when it restricts the availability of information online. Now,
That doesn't seem like you're losing a freedom. That seems like it's helpful if you just want privacy of certain things of your life.
Right.
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
guess the other side to that can be like people deserve to have that information depending on. I really don't see why.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I mean, if
but
you're not a criminal that did something,
here, they
it's like-
expose you for everything online.
yeah. Yeah.
You don't.
There's
have
literally people's
protections.
careers on YouTube is looking up fucking people's dirt in the
Oh my
past.
god! From like 10, 12,
Yeah.
15 years ago,
That
somebody
happens a
gets
lot.
canceled every week here.
Now, it goes without saying that both the US and the EU highly value freedom of speech. And the claims by Trump and Musk that Europe has no freedom of speech are simply not true. Comments
agree
like
with
the
that.
one Musk made just before the UK riots could be seen as an incitement to violence, which has
Yeah.
been illegal in the
I
EU.
mean, 9.8 million views, and that's probably in the first hour of it. It's
that
like,
gets people amped.
yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. And Trump does the same thing, and
He
that's the
does.
reason. Like, I don't know.
they play
Yeah.
with their power, and it's really fucked up because they don't see.
Because they're never gonna have to live as a normal person.
They're not gonna have to exist in that world that they
Yeah.
just orchestrated. It sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
US, UK, and the EU for decades. The difference lies in how each region approaches it. The US prioritizes free speech over most other rights, often allowing it to override concerns about hate speech, privacy, and defamation. In contrast, the EU takes a more balanced approach. While free speech is highly valued, it is carefully weighed against other fundamental rights, such as the protection of personal dignity, reputation, and privacy. The EU's goal is not to limit free speech, but to ensure it does not unjustly harm individuals or disrupt societal harmony. But what do you think? Is the EU
That
right
doesn't
to
sound
intervene?
bad.
Or how would you address the challenge of misinformation or hate speech? Thank you so much for watching. If you're hungry for more, don't miss out on our video on whether we really need NATO, or dive into why the EU even exists. Spoiler alert, it's a key reason we're not
Alright.
constantly at war
Well,
in Europe.
I prefer the EU's version of free speech over ours because there's too much fucking chaos under ours.
Yeah, I like the way the guy made the video. It was nice how it.
Oh, for us who are a little
Well, no,
ADHD.
It is nice to see like all the different animations and
I'm a
just how
visual,
everything's
yeah.
going. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, so I never really thought EU had less free speech, even though
It seems like they just regulate.
it seems like
things
they just
a lot better.
I think most other places, especially Europe, they just have a certain type of value on humanity, I guess I would say, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, more than we do here.
they consider the person who is in a tricky situation, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But
And they're like, yeah, maybe we don't bully the fuck out of this person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah, cool video.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you feel. This is a very privileged conversation because there are countries where you can't say shit.
100%. There are.
But
that's why I don't think you can compare those. That's why I
Right.
like. Yeah.
you can compare.
I hate
the
when people
EU
compare like the worst of the worst to like us. It's like
third world
obviously.
country to us. Like no shit.
I hate that because
No
it's
shit,
like
we have it way better.
it's not a like it's not a realistic comparison. But yeah.
Right.
Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Jump over to the vlog channel. We appreciate y'all.
Thanks for watching.
Peace.
And bye.